Coming up today, Trinity hosts its annual Chocolate Fest.
And President Biden secretly visits Ukraine.
All this and more right now on Newswave.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Welcome to Newswave. Today is Friday, March 3rd. I'm Angelina D'Elia.
And I'm Cynthia Morales.
Last Friday, February 24th, Trinity's Asian American and Pacific Islander Student Organization hosted a series of performances to celebrate the Lunar New Year. The celebration took place in Laurie Auditorium and included over 90 individual student performers. It hosted a variety of cultural dance performances, including a Chinese lantern dance, a Vietnamese fan dance, and a K-pop routine, as well as appearances from some of Trinity's notable dance-oriented student organizations. Planning for the event began in July of 2022, with financial help from Trinity's Student Programming Board and Student Government Association. According to Grace Kahn, senior biology major and logistical planner of the celebration, quote, "The scale of the event has increased, but the amount of collaboration has increased as well." The celebration ceremony was a huge success thanks to the collaboration of Trinity's Asian American and Pacific Islander organizations.
Trinity Student Programming Board, referred to as SPB, has filled this year with exciting new events for the Trinity community. Rather than focusing on hosting smaller celebrations as in the past years, the SPB made plans that featured three main events. The first of these was the Chocolate Fest, which took place on February 24th and featured an array of registered student organizations who shared their chocolate creations with the Trinity community in front of a panel of judges. The second and third events will be a De-Stress Fest and the 1902 Night. De-Stress Fest is an event that focuses on reminding students to prioritize mental health, featuring a petting zoo and heading out students' care kits. 1902 Night, on other hand, will be an event where SPB will provide transportation to and from 1902 Nights Club to celebrate the final weeks of the spring semester. These last two events will take place on March 8th and April 15th this spring semester. We at Newswave hope to see you there.
This year, Trinity University's Humanities Collective and the Student Diversity and Inclusion Office participated in the nationwide observance of Douglas Day by hosting a transcribe-a-thon for the Colored Conventions project in Coates Library. Trinity students, staff, faculty, and community members joined 7,400 people in 134 locations across the country in transcribing the works of Mary Ann Shadd Cary, a prominent 19th century activist, journalist, teacher, intellectual, and lawyer whose work was performed this year to remember her 200th birthday. Dr. Claudia Stokes, the co-director of the Humanities Collective and English professor, stated, quote, "It's not an accident that this takes place during Black History Month, so this is a great opportunity for the whole Trinity community to come together and work to support the recovery and the preservation of Black History Month."
Earlier in February, Trinity University celebrated its first ever Major Declaration Day. The event, which took place at Miller Fountain, allowed students to meet with faculty, talk with other students, and ultimately declare their intended major. This was the first year that Trinity has ever hosted such an event, and it was incredibly successful, with hundreds of students in attendance throughout the afternoon. Students and staff alike enjoyed the opportunity to get out and socialize, celebrating Major Declaration and enjoying the warm weather. University officials stated their hopes for the event to become an annual feature in response to its success. Still coming up, it's almost time for local election season.
And China attempts to increase their birth rates.
All after the break.
Wake the sun, tell him that I've begun to dream of things to come, and tell the trees not to look for me. I'm going to find some peace of mind. Wake the sun, wake the sun. sun, wake the sun.
Beautiful tower. It's a beautiful day outside.
It really is. The weather has started warming up, and that looks like the courtyard right outside, which is actually where social is happening right now for Tiger Friday.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes, we've got a ton of admitted students here today on campus, touring and just learning all about Trinity, so it's a super exciting day.
I love that. No wonder there was a lot of students today in the dining hall.
Definitely. It's been a busy time for Trinity.
Yes, but we love to see all the new students, and hopefully we'll see them in the fall.
Yes.
The University of Texas system has halted all new policies that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion at its 13 statewide campuses and requested that school leaders provide a report on their current DI policies. The UT System Board Chair, Kevin Eltiff, said that some DEI efforts have, quoted, strayed from their original intent and imposed requirements and actions that have raised concerns among policymakers, end quote. Eltiff's comments did not specify which DEI efforts raised the concerns. In early February, Texas Governor Greg Abbott published a letter warning that DEI hiring practices violated employment laws. Law experts statewide claimed that this letter mischaracterized the practices employers use when considering diversity in their hiring. Conservative lawmakers nationwide have raised objections to diversity statements required by university departments. Texas A&M University has recently changed their hiring policies in response to Governor Abbott's memo. In recent months, conservative politicians and advocates have criticized DEI initiatives, calling them products of the left-wing ideology, meant to reinforce liberal ideas about structural racism and discrimination. The UT System Board members have welcomed elected officials looking into DEI policies across Texas, and may soon consider uniform DEI policy for the entire system.
Texas State Senator Bob Hall has introduced Senate Bill 1029, which aims to ban nearly all methods of gender-affirming care. This bill would especially impact the transgender community and is one of nearly 70 anti-LGBTQ bills proposed in the current legislative session. Robert Salcido, Executive Director of Pride Center San Antonio, spoke out against the legislation, saying, quote, "When we look at it from a broader perspective, it's a bill meant to harm and stifle the LGBTQ+ community, specifically trans folks, as a way to erase them." Other LGBTQ advocates say restricted access to gender-affirming care will force healthcare workers to leave Texas. Texas Health Action CEO Christopher Hamilton agrees, saying, quote, "The onslaught of these bills is already taking its toll as we lose healthcare professionals to other states as a result of the interference of politics in medicine, and Texas cannot afford to lose healthcare professionals. Rather than offer solutions to real challenges in our healthcare system, politicians are attacking trans people and taking away their access to life-saving medical care based on misinformation," end quote. Texas lawmakers continue to push anti-LGBTQ legislation despite complaints and action taken by LGBTQ advocates.
In a surprising success for Texas public school teachers, all political signages point towards a significant race. In March of 2022, Governor Greg Abbott established the TVTF, the Teacher Vacancy Task Force, to evaluate teacher recruitment and retention across the state of Texas. The body convened once every 2 months to investigate teacher shortages and make recommendations about potential solutions. Last Friday, the TVTF released their final report containing their findings and suggestions. According to the Texas Tribune, they recommend that lawmakers increase salaries, improve training, and commit to respecting teachers' time. In their report, the TVTF said, quote, "The Texas legislature, the Texas Education Agency, and school systems should prioritize enacting and fully funding these recommendations to ensure that every Texas school is staffed with effective and supportive, committed teachers." The full 53-page report can be digitally accessed on texastribune.org.
Several urban mayors across Texas are facing little to no opposition in the upcoming May elections. After the deadline to run for mayor passed, officials in both San Antonio and Fort Worth faced weak competition, and Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson faces no opposing candidate at all. The only blockbuster mayoral race of the year will come in November from Houston, Texas, most populous city. The current incumbent Sylvester Turner is serving his last term, and several candidates are planning to earn the open seat. Back here in San Antonio, Nuremberg has built a capable yet calm public profile and is still thriving off of the goodwill he cultivated with voters during the pandemic. Nuremberg is expected to easily win for his fourth and final two-year term, facing no threatening challenger. In Fort Worth, Mayor Maddie Parker is headed for her second two-year term, facing no legitimate challenger. The Democrats' failure in surrounding county elections have dampened their chance to challenge Parker. Deborah Peoples, a Democrat who lost to Parker in 2021, says, quote, "I tell people if they're passionate, they should run, but they're afraid because they don't have the money," end quote. In Dallas, Mayor Eric Johnson is running for his second four-year term without a single opponent. On Friday, Jermar Jefferson, a former Democratic congressional candidate, filed at the last minute but failed to qualify for the ballot. Johnson's campaign said it was the first unopposed race for the Dallas mayor since 1967. Lack of competition at the ballots will likely worsen the already poor electoral turnout for state-level elections in Texas. Up ahead, President Joe Biden secretly visits Ukraine.
And then sports from Caleb.
We'll be right back.
When you throw away money on wasted electricity, you're throwing away everything you could have bought with it. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov. Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at energysavers.gov.
Back to Newswave. Russians around the world took to the streets of more than 100 cities to signal their opposition to the war initiated by their homeland against Ukraine over a year ago in a 4-day-long protest. Not many protests were large, rather most were smaller and modest. However, the organizers of these protests by the Russian diaspora have reached 45 countries and 120 cities, including Buenos Aires, Chicago, Melbourne, and Milan. A sign that the notoriously fractious opposition over the actions of Russia were still able to work together and unite under a common message. It is evident that while the Russian diaspora might not entirely agree on various issues surrounding the war in Ukraine, one thing is evident, that these protests can change the future as we know it. In China, meanwhile, a nation notorious for its promotion of the one-child policy, one province is making a bold pitch to try and get their citizens to procreate. Have as many babies as you want, even if you are unmarried. According to the New York Times, this points to a renewed urgency of China's efforts to spark a baby boom after its population shrank for the first time since the 1960s. Most measures to address these issues have been met with public skepticism, ridicule, and debate. Quote, "The fundamental problem is not that people cannot have children, but that they cannot afford it," said Lu Yi, a 26-year-old nurse in Sichuan, the province that recently lifted birth limits. While some women's rights advocates have celebrated this trend as a win for unmarried mothers, others believe China has been too slow in expanding the rights of non-traditional families.
Ahead of the one-year anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, President Joe Biden made a surprise visit to the capital, Kyiv, to meet with President Volodymyr Zelensky on February 20th. The war began a year ago on February 24th and still continues as Russia is assembling for a spring offense. As Ukraine prepares to regain territory, CNN explains that Biden contributed $500 million in new military equipment in hopes that Ukraine will be able to take control of the war and ultimately end it. President Biden's secret visit took a lot of planning to ensure safety. The meeting took place as evidence of China and Russia working together has emerged. Biden hoped by meeting with Zelensky, he demonstrated the U.S. support towards Ukraine. stating, quote, Putin thought Ukraine was weak and the West was divided. He thought that he could outlast us. But 1 year later, Kyiv stands, Ukraine stands, and democracy stands, end quote. As this story continues to develop, Newswave will help you stay informed with any new breakthroughs. According to the New York Times, Marianne Williamson has announced that she will be running for president again in 2024, following an unsuccessful campaign in 2020. She made the announcement via Facebook and said, quote, since the election of 2016, it's odd for anyone to think that they can win the presidency. And I'm not putting myself through this again just to add to the conversation. I'm running for president to help bring an aberrational chapter of our history to a close and to help bring forth a new beginning. Ms. Williamson is best known for her work as a self-help author and spiritual advisor to Oprah Winfrey. She's also known, however, to have had controversial opinions on topics such as mental health and vaccinations. When running in 2020, she suffered extremely low ratings, dropping out of the race in January of 2020 before any votes were casted. Still ahead, your updates on sports from Caleb.
And our excitement for spring break.
We'll be back in 60 seconds.
All right, I know this isn't any fun to talk about, but we should. Okay, so who's gonna do what?
I'll pack the dead batteries.
Great.
I'll only put what I don't need into a duffel bag.
Perfect. That's totally unhelpful.
No problem.
Meanwhile, I will try to comfort everyone by speaking in a calm voice.
And I'll try to get the generator going without any gas.
Oh, let's not forget the cell phones, which probably won't work.
Right.
And who is going to handle supplies?
I can forget to do a list for us.
Thanks, pal.
Well, I think we couldn't be any less prepared. I'm proud of you guys.
Talk to your kids about who to call, where to meet, what to pack. Visit ready.gov/kids for tips and information.
Midterm season is finally here, and to many students, it can be a pretty stressful time. From juggling exams and papers to just everyday tasks to deal with, it is important to be prepared for anything and everything. I asked some Tigers around campus to see if they had any tips and tricks for students during this time.
I would say during midterm season, you should definitely take time for yourself, take care of yourself during midterms, because a lot of people forget to do that. So study, but also take care of yourself.
For midterms, I would honestly just try my best to form study groups and start studying as early as possible. Personally, I like separating the content and breaking it down based on whatever you learned, and just study little by little over a certain period of time so you're not cramming in the end. And yeah.
Definitely for midterms, I would say don't procrastinate. It's important to take a brain break and just walk around, get some coffee, and make sure to email your professors if you have any question, and I would say also attend office hours.
Remember, it is important to study efficiently and to also take care of yourself during the stressful season. From all of us at Newswave and TigerTV, good luck on your midterms and stay positive. This is Danny Wynn, Newswave 14, reporting.
Welcome back, and now we'll turn it over to Caleb for sports. Caleb?
Hello everyone and welcome back to sports. We have got a lot to dive into today, so let's go ahead and get started. First off, unfortunately the Trinity Tigers men's basketball team made it to the SCAC tournament finals, but fell in a tightly contested match against Shriner 67-69. The team finished the season with a 20-7 record, but could not make the NCAA tournament. Still on the basketball court, however, women's basketball has continued their amazing streak of results, sweeping both of their games last weekend to finish their season with a 26-1 record. The Tigers won their third consecutive SCAC conference title after defeating Colorado College 64-54, with a number of Trinity players earning recognition for their tournament performance. Ashlyn Milton won both SCAC Player of the Year and Tournament MVP, while Maggie Shipley and Josie Napoli also earned all tournament honors. All three players also earned all SCAC honors, with Maggie Robbins and Addie Putnam as well. The Tigers host both regional rounds of the NCAA tournament, with the Tigers playing tonight at 8 o'clock p.m. in a whiteout game. The winner of that match, as well as the winner of the 5:30 game later this afternoon, will advance to the regional final tomorrow at 8 p.m. Baseball has struggled to get their season going, starting their year out with a 5-4 record, but losing 3 of their first 4 games. The Tigers capitalized big on a 4-game win streak against both Hardin-Simmons and Babson, taking both series with a 2-1 series record. Trinity remains at home this weekend, facing off against Concordia, Wisconsin, all through the weekend. Finally, women's softball has struggled in their opening few weekends, dropping to a 1-11 record. The Tigers have gone 0-2 at home so far this year, but it isn't all bad news, as their only win so far came this year against 18th ranked Mary Hardin Baylor on the road in Belton. They return home for the next couple of weekends, playing Hanover this weekend and Piedmont next weekend before spring break. Now on to some professional sports, and some big news is shaking up the NFL. Report cards. Yes, you heard that right. Report cards. For the first time ever, the NFL Players Association, or NFLPA, has released report cards for all 32 NFL teams. Each team was ranked by their players on 8 categories: treatment of families, food service, team weight room, strength coaches, team training room staff, locker room condition, and team travel accommodations. Teams are rated on an A+ to F- scale, similar to school report cards, and the results were somewhat surprising. The Washington Commanders ranked last among all NFL teams in almost every category, while the Minnesota Vikings topped the list. The Houston Texans and Dallas Cowboys both made the top 5, with Houston ranked number 4 and Dallas ranked as number 5 respectively. Over in the MLB, spring training has gotten underway, with all 30 teams traveling across the country to either Arizona or Florida to get the baseball preseason underway. The preseason always has some intriguing moments, but the strangest of all of them likely came on Tuesday. After the end of the top of the 9th inning, the umpires of the Orioles-Pirates game decided to leave the field. The game officially ended after the top of the 9th, but both teams elected to stay out on the field to give their younger players an extra chance at some game time. However, it did result in some funny moments, as catcher Maverick Handley called balls and strikes himself. Here's hoping that we will have some more comedic news such as this until opening day on March 30th. Finally, the first race of Formula One's 2023 season is set to kick off this weekend in Sakhir, Bahrain, where 20 drivers will start their hunt for the championship. The race, which will start at 9 a.m. on Sunday, March 5th, will be held at the Sakhir circuit in Bahrain, which has hosted the last 2 season openers as well as preseason testing under the lights. Max Verstappen and Red Bull Racing are set to pick up right where they left off last season, as their car looked dominant throughout preseason testing at the same circuit last week. However, we will not know the true pace of every car until qualifying tomorrow, and then the all-important race on Sunday morning. That's all for me, and it has been a pleasure. I hope that everyone has a wonderful weekend and a great spring break. Take care.
Thanks so much, Caleb. Well, Cynthia, speaking of spring break, what plans have you got coming up?
Actually, I don't have a lot of big plans. I might just do some, working so I can save some extra money for summer. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel you. That's a great idea. I should do the same.
Yeah.
But I don't have any major plans. I am planning on dragging my parents out to a concert. One of my favorite bands is playing.
Oh, what band?
Their name is Divino Niño.
Okay.
So I'm very excited to go drag them out to a concert in Houston. But I heard you were also from the Houston area, Cynthia, so
I am.
Maybe we're going to have to get together.
I know. I'm from the fake Houston, as they, like to say. But, before we get there, we have to get through these midterms.
Midterms. How are they going?
They're going. 1 more week left,
Yeah.
2 more exams. What about you?
Yeah, I've got just 1 exam. Everything else I've got is essays and presentations. So, yeah, but just 1 more exam next week, and then I'm home free.
I know, Friday, just counting down the days before we leave.
Yes, I'm very excited to get a break. And mental health is super important, and I feel like everyone's just been really grinding it out this semester. So it's time for everyone to take a break, go home, travel, relax.
I agree, Give yourself that self-care that you need.
Exactly, yeah. So even if you don't have any plans for spring break, take a little bit of an actual break.
Yes, I will for sure, and we hope that you guys do the same.
Absolutely.
Well, we hope that you enjoyed our show today. That is all the time we have for this week. Make sure to join us next Friday. Well, actually, the Friday after spring break, so March 31st.
From everyone here at Newswave, we hope you have a safe weekend and a wonderful spring break. I'm Angelina D'Elia.
And I'm Cynthia Morales. We'll see you soon.